Tonight, healthcare staffing concerns as Saskatchewan eyes a seventh wave of COVID-19. Also, friends, relatives, and colleagues gather in Saskatoon in support of a missing woman and her son. Plus, watch where you step. Some Regina residents and business owners are fed up with the state of sidewalks in the Queen City.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Wednesday, July 27th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Saskatchewan is trending toward a seventh wave of COVID-19. That's what experts say is within the latest provincial data. As Alexander Kwan reports, it's leaving healthcare workers in a difficult position, and the health authorities scrambling behind the scenes to catch up.
Nurses are burning out, they're exhausted, and they're stressed.
Saskatchewan nurses are on edge as the province veers toward yet another wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. They fear the healthcare system isn't prepared for what might lie ahead. One of the main issues, staffing shortages. The Saskatchewan Union of Nurses, or SUN, says more than 80% of its members reported vacancies in their units this past spring.
And people, like the numbers say, aren't willing to work like that anymore. They don't want to sustain that. They can't sustain it.
The Saskatchewan Health Authority has confirmed some healthcare workers have left the province and even the field altogether over the last 2 years. The SHA wouldn't provide specific figures, but says solutions are being looked at to address the issue.
That's part of our overall HR strategy to identify how can we retain the employees that we have to create a good, positive working environment, but also look at recruitment opportunities, whether that's internationally or promoting locally.
In the short term, the health authority says that it will continue to monitor staff absenteeism. If facilities or units don't have enough workers to keep running, that could mean service disruptions, something that we have seen more frequently throughout the pandemic. Meanwhile, the latest data obtained by CBC News shows COVID-related hospitalizations are also creeping up. This after being on a slow decline since mid-April. But as of July 22nd, 147 people were in hospital with the virus. That's a 24% increase from the beginning of the month, and a familiar sign that the end of this pandemic is not yet in sight. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
A Saskatchewan man accused of sexually assaulting residents at a group home was briefly back in court today. Brent Gabona used to work at the Shepherd's Villa group home in Hepburn. He was charged with sexually assaulting 5 residents who were under his care there between 1992 and 2006. After the charges were laid, families of other residents who were not identified as victims pushed police to investigate further. That includes the parents of Derek Hawkins. Hawkins has since died, but was under Gabona's direct care. His parents say his behavior changed dramatically over that time, and they believe he was a victim. They attended today's hearing as part of their journey toward justice.
We're not going anywhere until this has been investigated the way it should have been from the beginning, and hopefully will be now. And to encourage other potential victims or anyone that knows anything about this to come forward. Because the more that people like him get away with this kind of stuff, the more it's going to happen to vulnerable people.
The Hawkins family says police are expected to open a file on their son. That's in connection with the alleged abuse he went through under Gabona's care. RCMP have also confirmed this investigation is expanding. Gabona is due back in court late next month on the charges already laid against him. Saskatoon police are intensifying their search for Dawn Walker and her son Vincent Jansen, who have not been seen since Friday. They're appealing to anyone who may have dash cam footage. Specifically, they're looking for any relevant surveillance of Chief Whitecap Park near the Riverside Country Club south of Saskatoon. That is where Walker's truck and some of her belongings were found. The key hours are between 6:30 p.m. on Friday, July 22nd and 9 a.m. on Saturday, July 23rd. Police included this photo of her Ford F-150 with their appeal as a reference. Now, last night, friends, family, and other supporters gathered at Chief Whitecap Park at a vigil for Walker and her son. People shared stories, prayers, and songs, and those who knew her say it's unlike Walker to leave for long periods of time without being in contact.
Amazing grace.
For all the support that's here, we're so grateful for that because it gives us strength.
She wasn't, and she isn't immune from our women going missing each and every day. That just saddens me, how hard she works for the people. And if anybody says, why are we making so much attention on this because it's Dawn Walker? Because let me put the record straight. Dawn Walker fought each and every day and every month for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, men and boys.
I read many of her books. I loved her quirky sense of humor. I'd been interviewed by her. I knew her when she was a reporter for Eagle Feather News. Just a remarkable, talented young woman. And I just can't believe that she's gone missing.
Walker has been Chief of Staff at the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations for almost 10 years. Also known as Dawn Dumont Walker, she's a well-known author in Saskatchewan and ran for the Federal Liberal Party in Saskatoon last year. RCMP and Saskatoon Police are leading the search by air, land, and water. Anyone who may have information is asked to call them or Crime Stoppers. Pope Francis has arrived in Quebec as he continues his trip across Canada. His flight from Alberta landed this afternoon. He'll be in that province until Friday. The Pope is meeting with a number of dignitaries, including the Governor General and the Prime Minister. Sarah Levitt has the details.
From an apology in Muscatries, Alberta, to reconciliation in Quebec, Pope Francis is now on his second leg of his pilgrimage of penance, with further hope from many Indigenous people that he expands on his apology and commits to concrete actions for healing. On the Plains of Abraham, smudging ahead of the Pope's arrival. Thousands came in anticipation of the visit.
It means, I think, so much to me to actually, I guess, feel the apology instead of just hearing.
Among the crowd, a group of residential school survivors and their family who walked nearly 300 kilometers to get here. They come from the Innu community of Mashtuiyash, notably the site of the last residential school in Quebec, Pointe Bleue. It closed in 1991. Jay Lanière Mathias helped organize the walk, participating for his grandmother, a residential school survivor. He said they wanted to create a movement to recognize that the trauma of the schools doesn't stop with the students themselves, but affects generations of families and communities. After taking part in several engagements, tomorrow Pope Francis will hold his second Holy Mass in Canada, this time at one of North America's oldest pilgrimage sites, Sainte-Anne-de-Beaupré. Thousands are expected, with the majority of seating inside the Basilica reserved for Indigenous participants. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Quebec City.
Support is available for anyone affected by residential schools. You can call the 24-hour National Crisis Line. The number is 1-866-925-4419. Sask Power has changed when it plans to choose a site for a proposed small nuclear reactor. When it released its strategic plan 4 months ago, it said it would have a site selected by next year. But the Crown Corporation now says it needs more time to consult with the public and others. It's now aiming to choose a location by late 2024. A final decision on whether to even build a reactor in Saskatchewan won't be made until 2029. In the meantime, Sask Power is talking with groups like the Saskatchewan Association of Rural Municipalities. Its president says they have not discussed a specific site, but he wonders about the location of coal-fired power plants.
By 2030, those power plants are going to have to be decommissioned. As far as we know, they will have to be shut down. So it kind of makes sense that if you're going to build something to replace that, you would use the same kind of site because you've already got the grid in place.
Sask Power plans to release a short list of suitable sites this fall. A consultant's report released 15 years ago showed the Lake Diefenbaker region was Sask Power's preferred location for a nuclear power plant at that time. Impassable and unsafe. That's the state that some Regina residents and business owners say their sidewalks are in. Many are demanding the city do something about it. Others taking action on their own. Jennifer Francis has more.
I'm at my wit's end with them.
Paul Kleckner lives in northwest Regina. Last fall, he says city crews replaced a fire hydrant, ripping up the sidewalk and parts of his lawn in the process. Workers eventually filled in the hole left behind from the repair. That is, a few months and several calls later. And Kleckner says they did so with rocks and gravel, a temporary fix riddled with safety hazards. So he took matters into his own hands.
That's why I put the sign up, because I got fed up and said I got to do something. I'm obviously getting no action. Every time I phone, they say, oh, that's not my department.
This sign has Kleckner's phone number on it. He says it's so he can support anyone who gets hurt or has concerns with his sidewalk. But Kleckner isn't the only resident itching to get the city to get moving on these repairs. Terry Sleva is as well. She uses a wheelchair and says it can be hard to get around at the best of times. But with many of these latest fixes leaving sidewalks inaccessible, it can have a serious impact on her day.
There have been times I haven't been able to go to things because there was no access. So you turn around and you go back.
Over in the warehouse district, some business owners say sidewalks are also an issue, but the lack of them. Mark Heisey owns Rebellion Brewing on Dudney Avenue. He says customers have to run across the street if they want to walk safely. Heisey says that's a problem, and the city should be working to make Regina more walkable.
We constantly talk about, potholes in the city and this and that. I don't think you would leave a pothole that badly for a year or more, and yet here we are with our sidewalks in that state.
Ward 3 Councillor Andrew Stevens says he feels neither the municipality nor the community value sidewalks as much as roads, but he says they should be a bread and butter concern.
Pedestrians, transit users, and cyclists, I think, are an afterthought, and I just don't think this was prioritized as a result of that, and I think that needs to be dealt with.
The city of Regina says it has received 465 complaints about sidewalks so far this year. That's just 85 fewer than all of last year. The city says it's working towards making sure these spots are fixed as quickly as possible. It also says it has put $10 million towards sidewalk repairs over the next 2 years. The goal is to end the backlog by 2023. Jennifer Francis, CBC News, Regina.
What a nice day to be outside. Many people took advantage of the farmers market in downtown Regina this morning. Looks like there were a lot of harvested veggies up for grabs from all the gardens nearby. We are halfway through the week and there is a long weekend on the horizon. Ethan will have the forecast for you when we come back. Stay with us.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. The exclusive export event is back.
Welcome back. Our CBC weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now, and you can really feel that mercury climbing to the weekend.
Yeah, slowly but surely we are getting there, Sam, and it looks like now we do have some heat warnings that are in effect for a portion of the western part of the province. We'll take a look on our watch warning map. Really had to zoom in for this one. There it is, right there, City of Lloydminster, and that's because all of Alberta, pretty much the entire province, is under a heat advisory, and every time the City of Lloydminster, Alberta gets a warning, it gets extended eastward to the City of Lloydminster, Saskatchewan as well. We're looking at temperatures in the mid-30s over the next couple of days, and so you might want to alter your midday plans to put them to a cooler part of the afternoon or part of the evening, or maybe even morning as well. Radar and satellite really not showing us too much. We had some scattered showers earlier this morning in the southeastern part of the province, and now some showers moving toward the Yellowhead Highway, eventually into Manitoba, and that is likely going to be the last of the showers for the next little while, at least in the southern half of the province. Those will move out through the evening tonight, and then tomorrow most of us expect experiencing a nice, mainly clear day. The next little disturbance is this one that's going to move through in the form of showers and thunderstorms in the far north of the province Thursday night into early Friday. That moves southwards into the Churchill region through the afternoon on Friday, but the rest of us in South and Central are going to be staying fairly dry. And of course, with high pressure moving in, that means that our wind gusts are going to be dropping as well. They'll go from gusty this afternoon to quite light tomorrow. The highest gusts will be in the far north, around 30 kilometers an hour. And we get to Friday, and most of us really kind of seeing the same thing, not anything too much in the way of that. Now, keep in mind, this ridge here is going to even out a little bit as we go through the next few days. So that intense heat they've been seeing in the Pacific Northwest and off the west coast is going to even out a little bit. We probably won't see temperatures quite as high as they've seen in BC, but it will still be warm nonetheless. And that won't necessarily be great for our drought conditions. We are seeing the worst of them, a severe drought in the west central part of the province. This is as of June 30th, so we will watch to see over the next little while here if those conditions have improved or worsened with the moisture or lack thereof that we've gotten in July. Now, this is the drought outlook for August, and you can see any area in green here is drought removal. Yellow is drought improvement, and brown is no change. But again, we'll probably get an update in the next couple of weeks here to see where we have gotten so far. The only area where we are seeing drought possibly producing is in the far north, just northeast of La Loche. So we'll keep an eye out for the update on that. Regina, we are certainly warming up over these next few days. Very warm conditions for the Rider game Friday. And your holiday weekend looking actually pretty nice. But keep in mind, human X values getting into the mid-30s. Possibly heat warning criteria there. Saskatoon will see a bump up on Friday, and then that cold front moves in actually on Saturday, and we'll see more normal temperatures for the rest of the weekend and possibly some showers as well. And you know, Sam, I'm looking at tomorrow, and it might just be that ideal, perfect summer day before things get really warm.
Perfect day to have lunch on a patio.
Exactly. Go for a walk. You can do it all.
All right. Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
My dream is to become a pro skater.
Well, here's proof that age is just a number. A 6-year-old girl in the United Arab Emirates got her first skateboard 2 years ago, and she's already won some competitions. She's been training every day and learns new tricks through watching YouTube videos. She says she likes to win because it makes her, quote, happy, brave, and even smart. That's adorable. We'll be back after the break. More details are emerging about how Hockey Canada has dealt with allegations of sexual assault by its players. Top executives of various leagues were grilled by a House of Commons committee today, the second day of hearings. Marina von Stackelberg reports.
10 men, the top leaders of Hockey Canada and junior leagues, questioned for 3 hours about their handling of sexual assault allegations under their watch.
In 2018, we should have done more and could have done more and could have done things quicker. And so I apologize for that.
The committee learned since 1989, Hockey Canada has used a national equity fund to settle 9 sexual assault cases to a tune of $7.6 million.
And that fund is generated by kids' registration fees, correct?
Among other things, we have insurance from investments as well.
That doesn't include the nearly $300,000 Hockey Canada paid this high-profile lawyer to investigate allegations 4 years ago that were only made public this spring. A woman says she was sexually assaulted by 8 hockey players, including some members of that year's World Junior team. She was seeking $3.5 million. That lawsuit also settled with the same equity fund.
We haven't used money to protect our image. We've used money to respond and support victims.
Hockey Canada officials did not tell some of the players accused of sexual assault about the lawsuit until after they settled it for them.
You had a claim and you settled it within 3 weeks or 4 weeks of the date you received the claim. That is highly unusual.
The committee is scratching the surface of sexual assault allegations within the sport. In the last 5 years, the Quebec Junior Hockey League and the Western Junior Hockey League had 2 incidents of sexual assault each. The players suspended. What happened, not reported to Hockey Canada. The table of leaders again questioned if they're in a position to make change within their organizations.
Will you step down for new leadership to take over?
I'm prepared to take on this responsibility.
Hockey leadership was also asked why it hasn't done more to keep track of players accused of sexual misconduct. The committee heard that the entire 2018 World Junior team went on to sign contracts with the NHL the next year. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
The World Health Organization has declared the spread of monkeypox an international emergency. More than 16,000 cases have been confirmed in more than 70 countries. Both the WHO and Canada have issued directives to help reduce the risk of infection and spread of monkeypox.
The Public Health Agency of Canada recommends practicing safer sex. Having fewer sexual partners, particularly anonymous partners, even when they don't have symptoms, can also reduce your risk of getting infected.
So far, there are 745 confirmed cases of monkeypox in Canada. Most of those are in Quebec and Ontario. According to the available data, men make up 99% of those cases. The federal government has supplied more than 70,000 doses of vaccine across the country. And Ethan is back with one last look at tonight's weather.
And pretty benign weather across the province tonight, Sam. In Regina, by the time we get to tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., we'll be at 14 degrees, sunny conditions and really nice light winds out of the northwest. And that sun will stick around as we head to the noon hour at 21. Winds really not picking up all that much. Also going to be 14 at 8 a.m. in Saskatoon with sunny conditions and some light winds as well. And hey, why don't we keep the sun around for noon? 23 degrees and light winds in addition to that. In Estevan tomorrow at Woodlawn Golf Course, it is the Golf Saskatchewan Senior Men's, Women's and Mid-Masters Tournament. And the first tee-off time at 7:30. It's going to be a little chilly, but sunny and nice light winds as well. So no golf balls flying all over the place, Sam.
That is a perfect tee-off temperature at that time, Ethan.
Very nice.
All right, thanks for that.
You bet.
And before we leave you tonight, since the 1940s, children from across Canada have traveled to Waka Lake, just northeast of Saskatoon, for Ukrainian summer camp. And this year is no different, but there are some special campers this summer, kids displaced by the war in Ukraine. Camp counselors and organizers say it offers them a sense of belonging.
Having just everything around, the security, the happiness, I can see it in them. Like, I see how happy they are, and it really does, make us all feel great that we are doing something like that for them, right? That every kid should experience.
I think it's like allowing kids to be kids the way that it's meant to be in the world, instead of being afraid. They get to be a kid and not worry about walking out a door.
I'm very blessed to have this opportunity and to spend time with them, hear their stories, and being part of that experience is actually very amazing. And I'm very grateful I got this opportunity.
Yeah, it's nice to show them that it's a lot different here and they can have fun and be kids again and everything.
The children, we're adults, we can understand a little bit, but children is, I like the fear that they must have had going through this, right? And then the traveling, I'm speechless. I just give hugs.
I was going to say the same thing. I was going to say, you kind of just want to grab them, wrap them in your arms and give them the love that they need.
Yeah.
And that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can head to our website or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. Glenn will be back with more tonight at 11. Thanks for watching and have a good night.